Nuggets signing incoming, multiple Denver free agency updates. We need changes, but who's in and who's out? Let's get into all that and more today on Nuggets Digest. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Stuart Hicar, Colorado native, basketball fan, and just the most trustworthy man in all of amateur sports entertainment, and that's a fact. But also, a fact is this little thing I need to bring to your attention, and boy, is it worrying. Did you know only about 10% of you are actually subscribed to this channel, which means almost 90% of you are missing out on some of the best gosh darn basketball analysis this side of the Continental Divide. So if you like what we do here at Nuggets Digest, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button to stay up to date with your favorite Mile High team. Alrighty, so we've got a bunch of updates today, all about free agency. Recently, we've seen the front office say that they are focusing on free agency, not so much trades, which could be good news for us in terms of acquiring depth. Definitely something the Nuggets need. But who are we targeting? Who are we looking at? What are the big changes? Let's go ahead and get a list of those big updates we'll be touching on. So first things first, we're bowling for Bol. I wonder who we're talking about there. Then Uno Dos Trey Alexander. We'll touch on that as well. And bye-bye Ty. Ty Jerome leaves the Cavs, but is he on our way here? We'll see what's going on. But first things first, let's start with the big change to our current roster, and that has to do with us trying to get support for this guy right here, Nikola Jokić. Obviously, he needs help. He needs depth on the bench. He needs us to be able to hold up that time when he is not on the floor, so it's not always him working from behind. That's not something we want to put on his shoulders. We want to give him as many of those rest minutes as we can in a game. We've seen from the Michael Malone era that you can play this guy 46 minutes every single game, and he will produce, but it's not enough to get us a championship. Right now, what we know after that Pacers and Thunders final is that the best teams in the NBA are deep teams with solid, large rotations who you can trust guys deep on that rotation as well, deep on the bench. So who are we talking about today? Well, first things first, Trey Alexander. That's right, the young man we've had on the team for a few years now is not going to be re-signing with the Nuggets. He'll be entering free agency. I think this is probably a smart move for him. I don't see him getting all that much usage. He definitely didn't get minutes, even in garbage time during the last season or two. So I do think this is one of those, we lose him, we open up a little bit more depth in terms of salary that we can bring on. So see you later, Trey. Sorry it didn't work out. I hope you only the best. It seemed like you were a solid dude. Guys on the bench liked you. But obviously, see you later, buddy. Bye. But let's move on to big changes that could be positive for us moving forward. And that starts with this guy right here, Ty Jerome. Now, Ty Jerome has been on the Cavs for, I believe, 2 years now. He's been really solid for them. Not as a star player, but as a guy who can get you a pretty solid 8 to 10 points a night. He's not going to blow up all that often. He's not going to be doing a ton of lifting, but he is a solid second option to have on our team, and he is now entering free agency, and there are a lot of folks chatting that maybe his best option would be the Denver Nuggets. Let's take a look at his stats. This is just from the previous year. He is shooting really well from three. I really like his three-point shooting. If you watch him shoot, he just looks wet coming down with the thing. And his points per game are definitely something to look at as well. That 12.5 number is higher than you would imagine for a guy of his usage. So having him on a bench playing with maybe Russ as a distributor or Jamal in some of those off minutes with Jokić, I think this could be a great pickup for the Nuggets. Smaller salary guy, but definitely adding bench to our depth, which we'll need if we want to make a deep playoff run. That is just the truth of it. Ty Jerome, I like watching the Cavs play. I've always been a bit of a Cavs fan. My family's from Cleveland, so I've gotten to enjoy some of their runs. They were they got pantsed in the playoffs this year, in reality. They were a huge team in the regular season, but obviously that did not work out for them down the line. So I do think they're going to be doing a little restructuring and trying to figure out what is the thing they were missing to become a real playoff team. And Ty Jerome, I guess, is not going to be part of that equation. So why aren't the Nuggets picking him up? This is exactly the kind of player we need to add depth to our bench and add a real confidence in those minutes without Jokić. So absolutely love this addition if we were to make it. Again, he's in the free agency, which is what the Nuggets are looking at mostly right now. So big ups. Please, Ty, come work out with us. Come meet the boys. Come live at Elevation. You'll love it there. Okay, Ty Jerome, that's one thing. Who is the biggest guy we need to be talking about today on this episode? Well, he is literally the biggest guy, and a lot of Nuggets fans know his name and have seen him before. Why? Because it's Bol Bol, baby. Oh, yeah, that's right. Bol Bol, who we had at a much younger age before we sent him off to Phoenix, where he's been for the past few years, and has been steadily getting a little bit stronger, I think, as a center. Obviously, Bol Bol is just one of the tallest men in the league. Super tall, super lanky, not a lot of weight on his bones, but has a weird skill set. Sometimes his three-point shooting is knocked down. It's incredible. And sometimes it's a little bit rough and just isn't quite there. And sometimes he's playing inside. He obviously is going to get some blocks every single game just because of his length. But let's take a look at his stats and see how that lines up with the rest of this whole idea of Bol Bol coming to the Nuggets. First things you need to look at are that his blocks per game are 0.7, which is pretty solid, I think, for a tall guy. The one thing I would be worried about really has to come down to his rebounds per game. With only 3 and his height, he should be catching a lot more balls. Obviously, he's not getting huge minutes, so is that a reason that his stats are a little bit lower, including his points? I think so. I think if you gave him a couple more minutes every single night, you're going to see that blocks per game go up as well as his rebounds. But I do think we need another big who can get on the floor when Jokić isn't there and really protect the rim. Is he that, even though he doesn't maybe have the weight on his body that we might need from a defensive behemoth? These are things to consider. Certainly a worry in my book. Now, when we had Bol Bol before, it is worth mentioning that he really wasn't much of a big effect on the team. Obviously, we had him when he was really young. He was putting on some weight still, and with his weight, it's always going to be distributed differently, so he's not going to play like your average big man. But I attended a few Nuggets games when we had Bol, and I will say, fans love the guy. When he comes out on the floor, people are screaming his name. They're excited to see him play. I think something about a true 7-footer always makes fans excited, and maybe that excitement during bench minutes when Bol would be in is something that we could ride off of and get us more solid home advantage, more than we already have. And trust me, playing the Denver Nuggets at home is one of the harder things to do in the NBA. You can ask anybody. Anthony Ant really confirmed that this year when he said, hey, man, I've played in Denver. I've played in the hardest places. So I think maybe having Bol out there, having fans get jazzed up with some of those bench minutes, even if he maybe is not the strongest person, which is what I personally believe we need. I mean, they just won a final, but Bol Bol is more in the Chet Holmgren school of centers than he is in the Isaiah Hartenstein way of centers, and I personally think we need more of a heart, a guy who is strong, can take a beating, can give one out under the rim, just can protect the hell out of that and let no one come inside and force him to shoot outside. I think Bol is definitely going to be, if he were to come over to the Nuggets, which it seems like he may be, we're one of his top landing spots. I think he could definitely slow people down at the rim. Obviously, his size is just going to be imposing on just about any player coming up at him, but is he the kind of strength we need on the team? Other than Aaron Gordon, we don't have a lot of guys who could really bump and grind all night long, and Bol Bol really isn't one of those guys. He is more of a skill player big, and let's be honest, we already have the best skill player big in the business with Jokić. So is this the kind of pickup we need right now? I'm not 100% sure. I wouldn't be against it, let me tell you that much. I do like adding big men to our team, but I would love to know who else is out there on the market. Is there anyone else out there that we could maybe pick up in the interim? That's what free agency is all about. And now that we have our general manager search figured out with our new 2 dual GMs, what's up with that? I mean, we'll see how that goes. It could be a disaster. It could be a revelation. Who the heck knows? But those guys need to make some decisions, especially moving forward here with all this free agency talent hitting the space. We could really take advantage right now and build the kind of team that would be ready to make a deep playoff push next year. But those are just my opinions. What do you think? You know, do you agree with my very good takes, or do you think I should be forced to take a photo with Bol Bol to make me look like a really short guy? That'd be fine too. Either way, join the community down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. My name is Stuart Hicar. This has been another perfect video, just a 10 out of 10. And until next time, go Nugs.